to treat your lumbar discs like it's a muscle is kind of, it's going about it the wrong way. What we want to be doing with our muscles, where are we doing? We're recording? Guess what we're doing today, guys? I've got one of the best jiu-jitsu fighters in the world. He's got a pretty cool name too. What is it?
Sebastian.
Okay, do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Anyway, Sebastian Attard, one of the best jiu-jitsu black belts in the world. And he's going to be doing a back session with me. When I say back session, he does a lot of great work by himself. He does, how many days a week of weights?
3.
3 days weights. How many days a week of jiu-jitsu? Or how many sessions per week of jiu-jitsu?
10, maybe.
Damn. So one of the rules that I have when it comes to training athletes of non-strength sports, so his priority is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not powerlifting, not weightlifting, is to not let the weightlifting interfere with your progression in your sport, right? So what I want to do today is not give him an overhaul on his training. I just want to see how he deadlifts, because I believe that's a fundamental pattern that you must have if you want to be good in sports and you want to be resilient, if you want to be injury free. That's one of the biggest things that I know with sports, is the people that kind of like last the longest are the ones that stay injury free, or the people that reach the highest levels, they're the ones that stay injury free for the longest period. And I'd say that having a strong back is probably one of the most important things that you can have as a jiu-jitsu fighter. So there's a lot of different choices of exercises you can consider to have a strong back. You've got upper back, but I'm talking mainly about the lower back and the hinge pattern, the bend pattern. And I say the conventional deadlift, straight up conventional deadlift, not a variation of, not Romanian deadlift, not a Jefferson curl, not Zercher deadlift or anything like that. They're variations of that are fantastic exercises, but the fundamental base conventional deadlift is number one. And that's what we're going to be starting with, okay? So first things first, I've never seen Seb deadlift before until now. Let's have a look.
Let's take a look.
Check it out. Like, as a coach, for all the coaches at home, this is how I coach anybody. I don't sit here and like, I know that he's got general competency. He's not injured. He doesn't have a back injury or anything like that. I know that he's competent enough to do this. So the first thing that I do is, instead of giving him a breakdown of what I want to see, I'm just going to ask him how he does it. Because if he's doing it perfectly, I don't change anything.
I think I doubt that. Let's see.
Let's go. Give me 5 reps. See what I mean? If someone's doing it well, I don't really need to change much. That was very good.
That's all right.
Small adjustment.
Let's do it.
Small adjustment. If you guys have been watching me for long enough, you'll know exactly what that adjustment is. And that's the stance. The stance, although it's not bad, I would say touch too wide. Okay? Touch too wide.
Yeah.
So the way that you were doing it, it's kind of like your feet are kind of being, your legs are kind of being posted outwards, and it causes your hands to go a little bit wider than they need to. The most efficient position for hands is where the arms are straight down, right?
Right here.
Straight down. So the fact is, people go a little bit wider. You know, I used to do jiu-jitsu, fun fact, I think it was about 15 years ago. 15 years ago. Yeah, man. Time flies. I used to tell people I was about a decade ago, but then I really thought about it. It's been 15 years.
Wow.
Anyway, 15 years ago, I had a black belt. I had a blue belt. Fucking black belt. I'm going to tell everyone that I'm a black belt BJJ.
Yeah, tell them.
Prove me wrong, bro. I had a blue belt, and a lot of the principles that I use in the gym are things that just made sense to me from jiu-jitsu, like having a strong base. He's probably looking at me going, don't teach me jiu-jitsu, bro. All right, having a strong base. So like having a wider base of support increases your stability. And that's something that I believe that a lot of people think about with the deadlift is, you know, a wider stance is a wider base of support. It's a stronger base of support. It's more stable, so I can shift a heavier load. The fact is, with the deadlift, you don't need that much stability. You get the stability you need with your feet at hip width. Okay? The next thing is this. Arms go on the outside of your legs, and when your legs are wider, your arms have to be wider. The further out your arms go, the longer distance you must travel, which is inefficient. There's different variations of a deadlift that I want you to intentionally use a wider grip, which is a snatch grip deadlift, different exercise. But for a conventional deadlift, that's the only change that I want you to make. Let's go again. Okay, so this time, I want you to stand hip width. So your feet a little bit closer, pointing straight ahead. Okay, so with the toe angle, that was a question that someone asked me on my last videos. Is it okay that we point the toes out? I say, it's kind of fine. I prefer straight ahead. But the problem is, if you point the toes out, the knees must follow in the same direction. And when the knees push outwards, the arms have to go outwards. So it's kind of inefficient. So therefore, I like kind of straight feet. I reckon that's perfect. Now with your grip, it's straight down. Don't go just too close for the sake of it. We still need to factor in, you're going to be a strong dude. Just by the fact that what weight class are you?
About 100.
100 kilo guy, he throws around 100 kilo people. Is that right? Is that accurate to say?
I can say.
Do you know what I mean? So like he'd be pretty damn strong just naturally without even having to lift a weight in his life. The nature of his sport makes him strong. So therefore, what I want to do is assume that he should be able to this fucking floor. I would say that a strength standard of any high level jiu-jitsu player should be a minimum of a 2 times body weight deadlift.
Oh, definitely.
You know, it doesn't mean you have to do it every time you come into the gym, but I'd say that's the strength level that you need to be. So factoring that in, we still need to factor in how you're going to hold onto the bar and look at the grippy part. I would say optimal for your hands is exactly where that line is, right?
Right, so
your feet are hip width apart. No, outside. So your whole hand is on the grip.
Here.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Right, now let's do the exact same thing again. Good. Just one more. Good. All right. Really good. All right, let's refine it even further. Let's go. So, you know what we might do? I might get you to record from side view, please, so that we can just see this. I just want you to see the pattern that we've got with how he gets his hips into position. Like, it's pretty good. But I think that we can make it a little bit more precise. Watch what he does. He gradually lowers his hips, and then he drives as his hips are still moving. Okay, so we're trying to hit a bullseye from a moving target, right? So we've got things like a dynamic start, which is where people go hips up, hips down, drive, hips up, hips down, drive, which is not a bad technique. But I consider that like Conor McGregor, timing beats speed, precision beats power, right? So it's hard to be precise on a moving target. He's kind of slowly getting his hips down and then hitting as his hips are still moving, which you can't guarantee your hips are in the same position every single time. And I would say my observation is your hips are a little bit high on some of those reps because you're trying to kind of like attack it while you're still moving. What I want to see you do on the next set is, as you're lowering your hips, I want you to come to a complete stop. From that stop position, I want you to think about stretching. So the stretch that we consider is reach the crown of your head towards the ceiling. So stretch, that's how we take the slack out of the bar, and then complete pause, and then push. So I want you to hit that bullseye from a dead stop.
Let's go.
Okay. So let's have a look. Step a little bit forward. Then I come forward. Good. Let's have a look at the deadlift breakdown, step by step, how you guys should do it at home. The first thing here, look at his stance, right? So I brought him a little bit further forward. What I'm looking for is that barbell is in line with his midfoot. So that's his base of support, right? And that barbell will not leave the ground unless, under maximal loads, unless it's exactly at the center of his base of support. If it's too far forward, it's going to tip him forward and it's going to be a much weaker position. So that's where I like to start. The next thing I consider is like, how low am I looking for your hips to go? The moment your shins gently touch that barbell, that's when I say that's as deep as you should go. Because if you go deeper than that, you're going to push the barbell forward, away from your midfoot. All right, let's do it again. Grab the bar, sit into position until your shins gently touch. Think about reaching your crown of the head towards the ceiling. Now, what I want you to do is look at my foot. There you go. Now sit into position, let the shins gently touch, stretch, and then push the world away. Nice. Keep your eyes on that spot. Keep your eyes on that spot from start to finish. Okay? So that means at the bottom position, give me two more. At the bottom position, your neck is slightly extended, but then in the top position, your neck is slightly tucked. Okay? Which finishes off your position nicely. Good. And relax. Good. Good. How's it feeling?
Yeah, it feels good.
Looking really nice. So from a technical standpoint, if your deadlift looked like that, like from his first set, you're doing good. You know, I don't want to sit there and say everything's wrong. Like when I sit here and nitpick, it's like people at home are thinking, oh, look how wrong his deadlift was to being. It wasn't wrong. It was good. But what we're doing is just fine tuning.
I'm in Sebastian Oreb's world right now.
That's right. It's a little bit different. A little bit different.
Yeah, like,
Okay. The next thing we're going to do, let's have a drink, bro. Do you have a drink bottle? When you deadlift, what do you do with your grip? Do you, like right now you're warming up, you're doing double overhand?
Yeah, I usually just keep that or I'd go like a hook grip.
You do hook grip?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't like doing that.
All right.
In my head, I'm like, oh, it's
yeah, good,
off.
good.
It's
No,
wrong.
fine. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the grip positions. Hook grip. If someone comes to me and say, I use hook grip, I say, keep doing it. That's the strongest grip that you can have, and it's also the most symmetrical.
Yeah, that's the reason why I like it.
Also a low risk of injury.
Yeah.
One of the main injuries that people talk about is a bicep tear. Oh. And that usually happens with the supinated grip. And the reason it happens is because when you externally rotate, when you supinate, that increases tension on the bicep, and it's usually that's the side that you would tear the bicep under two circumstances. If you're using your bicep by bending your elbow, and if the weight's heavy enough. So a lot of people aren't strong enough for it to happen, so most of you wouldn't have to worry. But either way, when you're using the pronated grip, it decreases the risk of bicep tears, and it's also a lot stronger. It's also a lot stronger. It's just more painful, which is why a lot of people, like myself, don't actually do it. So how does it feel for you? Does it hurt?
Yeah, just eat it.
It's fine.
In my head, I'm thinking like, the other grip is just, when I do it in this fashion,
Yep.
I feel like my back is radiating on like a diagonal.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on here? Because like half my back this side is like the lat is so activated.
Yeah.
And this side's not. Like, I'm coming up like this. At the top, one arm's like longer than the other.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Okay. So some people, they feel like the asymmetry is the thing. In my opinion, if you're kind of like refined with it, a lot of the best powerlifters that use mixed grip, they're quite symmetrical when you do it, and it's not a huge problem. Asymmetries, everyone has them. But either way, that's good. Keep doing it.
Right,
I'm not going to change that. So what weight would you start with your hook grip?
Probably between like 120, 140.
Okay, great. I'll tell you right now, here's the rule. Jiu-jitsu need grip strength, don't they?
Yeah.
This is not a good grip exercise, all right? So a lot of people come in and they'll say things like, which I thought you were going to say because you're doing a double overhand grip.
No.
A lot of people say things like, I need a strong grip, so when I deadlift, I use a double overhand so that it improves my grip. The problem with that is it might be a decent grip exercise, but that makes it a terrible back exercise because now you're limited with how much you can hold. We don't want that to be the case, all right? Let's have a look. So let's have a look step by step of what we're doing. Stance, hip width, barbell in line with his midfoot, arms straight down on the outside of his legs. That's the most efficient position. Now what he's going to do is sit down, sit his hips, lower his hips into position, pull his armpits towards his pelvis, so pull it towards the shins, right? That's going to activate his lats. From here, I stand 3 meters in front of him and I say, look at my foot. So his head position is slightly extended here, and I want you to reach the crown of your head towards the ceiling, take a big breath to brace, and push the world away. Good. One more rep. Sit into position, armpits, and then push the world away. Good, and relax. Good. As the weight's getting heavier, this is when small things are happening. This is what I love actually. It's the whole idea of being explosive with the deadlift. I don't want you to be that.
Yeah.
Okay? So a lot of people, and that used to be me as well, I learned from a guy called Andy Bolton. I watched, that was the first man to deadlift 1,000 pounds. And when he deadlifts, he's got like, he goes one red plate at a time. And I'll give you a demo of what he used to do. He'd kind of go, so he would explode so heavily that the barbell would fly off his thighs. And he was so damn strong that he'd do that with like 5 red plates aside. So 270 kilograms, it's flying off his thighs. And I used to look at that and say,
looks epic.
Hell yeah, it looks epic. That's the best deadlift in the world. Therefore, that's how you must do it. Okay, but I believe that that causes a lot of bad habits, right? When you try and be too explosive. So that's what happened with you, is you went from the 60 kilograms to 80 kilograms. It looked like you added a little bit more explosion.
Yeah.
I don't want explosion.
Okay.
I want you to consider slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so the smoothest way of doing it is imagine the speed you would take to stand up out of a chair. Like you don't jump to get out of a chair.
No, yeah.
You just stand. That's how I want you to consider it, okay? So what you did on that set then, compared to the 60, is you're in position and then you went, okay? You kind of, your arms kind of went to get a bit of a run off. I don't want a run off. I want tension, tension, tension.
Yeah.
Okay? I want you to go, grab it, stretch. So eyes, 3 meters on the floor in front, stretch. So think about the barbell as if you're bending it, right? So stretch and then stand.
Okay.
Okay?
I see.
Let's do that again. I'm gonna put an object 3 meters on the floor in front, and that's your cue. Every time you do this movement, you gotta look at that dumbbell.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Okay, stance, midfoot, come a bit closer to the bar. Barbell over your midfoot, good. Grab the bar. Head to ceiling. Armpits towards your pelvis. Stretch and stand. See how smooth that was? That's a breath of fresh air.
It's like I'm on a Sebastian Oreb reel.
Yeah, man. It's tension. Oh, man. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? The answer is no, you didn't hear that. And that's the point. Very good. So that's a key indicator that there's tension taken out. What you hear, if they haven't, is so that click, you want to take it out. So that's me taking the click out. And then when you stand, you don't hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, right.
Nothing.
Right.
Like nothing. Like when you do your jiu-jitsu sparring,
Yeah, same thing.
You don't hear anything. Okay.
It's all coming back now.
Exactly.
We've gone full circle.
Exactly. Okay. Next up, we're going to go 100 kilos. So you may have heard me say the cue, pull your armpits towards the pelvis. What is that? It's something that Seb's already doing well, but I want to explain to you exactly what it is. Pulling the armpits towards the pelvis does a couple of great things. One, this action is an action of the lats. It's called shoulder joint extension. So it's a cue that I use. It's a cue that I use to get the lifter to activate their lats. Okay? The lats, stand over here please brother, just here, just here. The lats attach to the front of the shoulder here, and they come underneath and attach to the top of the pelvis. So look at the distance that that lat crosses. It's the longest, it crosses the longest distance of the spine of all of our core muscles. So what are the core muscles? We've got erector spinae, which a lot of people think they're the main contributors of stabilizing the spine, but actually they're kind of segmental. They cross a couple of vertebrae, but they don't cross that exact same distance of the lats. The lats cross the longest distance, therefore they're the most responsible for maintaining a rigid torso. So if you want to have, you know, a spine that picks up that weight like a crane and not a fishing rod, that's the number one cue, is armpits towards the pelvis. So that's how we engage the lats. The next thing it does, there's a big habit that a lot of people have with their deadlifts that don't use their lats. So I can tell if you're not using your lats by if the bar drifts away from your body. It's not happening now, but I want to make sure it never happens. And that's why I say another cue, armpits towards the pelvis, or pull the bar in towards your shins. So that's a great cue to keep the lats on and keep the barbell in line with the midfoot. So if the lats turn off, one, weak back, and two, it's now no longer in line with the center of base of support. So therefore it's weaker, you don't have muscle supporting, and this is how we increase the risk of low back injury. Step by step. So stance is hip width, barbell in line with his midfoot, grabbing the bar on the outside of his legs. One small change, there's so many small changes. When you're bending your knees, they're kind of coming in a little bit. I want you to think about opening your hips.
Yep.
The way I teach people to open the hips is thinking about pushing your arms gently against the inside of their arms. So it doesn't mean push your arms outwards. I never want you to do that. I just never want the knees to knock in, all right? So opening the hips by thinking about the thigh, gently touching the arm. Usually when people do this, it allows them to feel a better leg drive. So sit into position, knees out against the arms, push them outwards, good. Armpits, pull the bar into your shins, head towards the ceiling, looking at that dumbbell, and push the world away. The technician. Look at this guy, he's a technician.
Pushing it now.
Sit, knees out, stretch. One more, just one more. Knees out. Stretch. Nice. Real nice.
Nice.
Very good. Okay, how's it feeling?
It's coming together.
Great. Now, what I wouldn't mind doing, I want to play around with a few things. I want you to try a belt.
Let's go.
Okay? So the belt isn't necessary all the time. In fact, a lot of people say things like, you don't wear a belt on the playing field, so therefore, why should you wear a belt in the gym? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the objective of training in the gym is to get the most out of this stuff. The last thing I want to do is try and replicate what he needs to do in his sport. Okay? In his sport, he does 8 sessions of that per week. I don't need for him to come into the gym room when we have the opportunity to add to that and try and replicate exactly what he's already doing. Okay, so obviously belt is just one small facet of it. There's a lot of things that I want to talk to you guys about as well. And that is the position of his spine that I want him to maintain and learn how to maintain to have a better carryover to his sport. And that position is kind of like rigid, neutral. All right, so let's talk about how we're going to work the belt. For a deadlift, I don't like to have it too tight. So here's something I want you to try. Let's go higher, 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 higher. Under you. There we go.
Ribs.
There we go.
Alrighty.
Okay, now from here, that's not tight. That's too loose.
One more in. I'm getting leaner.
Okay, now from here, take a big breath and push into it. Perfect, perfect. Okay, good. So with a deadlift, I like it here because it kind of like, when people bend over in a deadlift, when the belt's too low, it pinches the fat here, or if it's too low, or if it's a little bit too high, it digs into the ribs. So what I like to do with this high belt position is have it over the top of the ribs. Right, so it's not digging in anything. So from here, what I want you to do, get in the deadlift stance. Don't worry about the bar, don't worry about the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Get in the deadlift stance, take a big breath, and then bend over. Is it digging in or anything?
No.
Okay, perfect, let's go. What I want you to do is just 1 rep now. We're going to do singles now, working our way up.
All right.
Okay, so stance, hip width, barbell, in line with the midfoot, grabbing the barbell with the arm straight down, sitting into position.
So do you want to take the breath now or at the bottom?
Yeah, take a breath now and hold it. And hold it the whole time. Sit, knees out, head to ceiling, knees out, head to ceiling. Pull the bar into your shins, push the world away. Beautiful, and relax. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Real nice.
That's cool.
Real nice.
And it feels like, usually I have the belt like really tight.
Yeah.
That time I felt like I was just touching it a bit, you know?
Perfect, perfect. So that's the thing. So you got 2 choices with the belt for a deadlift. A lot of people say, and this might be you at home, that they hate using a belt in a deadlift. And that's usually the solution, is the high belt position, because people, like me, people hate using a belt with the deadlifts. I don't know if you followed me for long enough to see my famous belt throw. This is when I learned about this. I had the belt too tight then. I had it really tight. I missed the lift, threw the belt, broke the belt, and then I had to use one of these prong belts. It was a lever. And it was the same lever, the same tightness that I would use for my squat, which is quite tight. And then I didn't have access to that because I'd broken the lever when I set the belt. And so I used a different belt with a prong, which was looser. And then I got the deadlift straight after. And it's like, oh, maybe tighter isn't better when it comes to belt tightness for a deadlift. For a squat, you know, with a heavy squat, I like the tightness of a belt. But with a deadlift, a lot of people find a lot of comfort when they go a little bit looser. And you probably will too. I sit it there to relax, it's loose.
And then you just pull it back up.
Then when I'm ready to go, suck my guts in, pull it up over the ribs, and then it's on.
I see, interesting.
That's how that's my little trick with my equipment.
Right, nice.
I sleep with my belt, I sleep with my wrist wraps. Nah, not really. You know, there's a topic about spine care and spine strengthening. And a lot of people that I know that do sports where it's unpredictable movement patterns. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's not just fighting. Like fighting is a lot of stand-up as well, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I would say of all of the sports, you probably get your spine in the most contorted positions of everything.
It's so bendy.
So bendy in every direction, right? So max flexion, rotation, like lateral flexion as well, every angle. So here's a mistake that I think a lot of people make is they try and replicate that in the gym and they go, all right, I'm bending my spine so much in jiu-jitsu, I want to be strong in those positions. So therefore, I'm going to choose exercises that strengthen those positions. And they replicate max range flexion. And I'll tell you an exercise that I know that a lot of people love, and it's probably going to upset a lot of people, is a Jefferson Curl. So Jefferson Curl, I would consider more of a bit of a stretch exercise. It's kind of like loaded where you intentionally flex your spine maximally under load. Now here's the thing. People are treating those types of exercises like the intention is to build strength on the discs of the spine. The problem is understanding what the discs are. They're not contractile tissue. They don't generate force and they don't hypertrophy the same way that a muscle would. So when you are spending 8 to 10 sessions per week in those positions, it kind of becomes redundant to come into the gym and try and do it more, right? What I would prefer to do is kind of manage the exposure to flexion load and keep it on the mats. Is that what you call it? In powerlifting, we say keep it on the platform.
Yeah,
so keep it on the mats.
Yeah.
Right? You keep that stuff on the mats. Don't bring it into the gym space where the objective is to not strengthen. I don't want to try and strengthen your discs. I want to strengthen the muscles that move your spine.
Yeah.
And the way to do that, again, start with a conventional deadlift. All right. You ready, brother?
Let's put it up.
We're just going to do singles now, okay?
Yeah.
So remember, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Walk up to the bar in your hip width stance. Sitting into position, bending the knees until the shins gently touch the barbell. Big breath. Push the knees out, head to ceiling. Push the world away. Good, and relax. Okay, good. Flying up.
Yeah, it feels good.
It looks like almost perfect.
Yeah.
So you lost the whole taking the slack out thing.
Yeah. When I lifted, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. So I want you to. So what we did with Seb was he was kind of like, you know, momentum is a nice thing, and you know that's the problem with the deadlift is we're starting from a dead stop. A squat, a bench press, we start from the eccentric portion. This is how we build momentum, eccentric to a concentric. We get that stretch reflex. Squat, eccentric to a concentric. Deadlift, we're starting from nothing to a concentric. So we don't have the momentum to begin the movement. So we try to build that momentum by doing things like dynamic start or, you know, sitting the hips in and then hitting. The problem with that, well, my problem with that is a lot of the times, not all the time, some people are very good at that. A lot of the times you lose that precision. So what I'm after here and what I've changed with Seb, instead of him gradually sitting in and then lifting, I'm telling him to stop here. But then there's one more step. Stop, stretch.
Yeah.
Okay? The way that we stretch, head towards the ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay, so from here, try and touch that part of your head to the ceiling. So from here, stretch, and you should, that's when you take that noise out of the bar, boom.
Yeah.
And that's when you'll feel a stretch on your arms.
Gotcha.
Okay, and that's when the next cue is push, not pull. All right, so deadlift, of course, there's pull involved and you can't avoid that, but you can avoid pushing. I'll tell you how to deadlift without pushing. It's called a stiff-legged deadlift. So this is me deadlifting without a push. So that's just pure pull. Does that make sense? I've got no choice but to pull. So therefore I don't need to cue the lifter to pull. He's got no choice. But you do have to cue push. So that's why I want the focus to be on the push component, not the pull, right? What's your normal split when you train weights?
Usually it's full body. Like my whole goal usually with my lifting is that I don't want to be too tired and too injured for my training sessions. So back when I was doing like more of a split type session, if I did legs, it would be like so intense because I was trying to do all my leg sessions in one day that I would lose so much of my ability, because I feel like the main thing that ruins me in jiu-jitsu, and that's, I like to lift before jiu-jitsu because I don't actually care about being too strong at the training session because I'm not trying to maximally load myself anyway. But what gets me is the lack of mobility I have from stretching so much in the weight session. So usually my goal is to get to the jiu-jitsu session as fresh as possible and wake up the next day with at least not DOMs that are forcing me to not be able to contract very well. Because the main contractions I'm usually looking for is like, I want to be able to pull my knees to my chest, so my abs need to really be able to flex in an explosive way, and also like hold isometrically, and also my hamstrings. So I usually want to make sure my hamstrings feel fine the next day. So that's why I think the split fashion.
Having a whole body allows you to have less total sets per workout.
Yeah.
So less muscle soreness on every muscle.
That's right.
So it allows for a much better recovery for your sessions.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty smart. And you know, for me and my sessions, I would have never taken him to his limits anyway. On the first session, I'll always start conservative. But either way, it's all the more reason to understand that this session, the objective here is for this to not interfere with the work that you're going to train this afternoon.
Twice.
Okay,
two sessions.
The objective is for this to not interfere with his training session. So I need him to not be completely exhausted, but two, I don't want to wear his muscles down so he loses mobility to be able to achieve the positions that he needs. What did you just say? You're going to have your knees on your chest kind of thing, like that's the max range of flexion you have. The last thing I want to do is interfere with that, all right? So what we're going to do today is I'm monitoring the bar speed. If it starts slowing down and looking grindy, I've gone further than where I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I want it to be kind of fast. Don't misinterpret when I say fast. I don't want you to intentionally go explosive, like what I was talking about. I still want it to be smooth.
Yeah.
But if you start grinding, that's the wrong thing. All right?
Yeah, okay, got it.
So let's do it again. Okay, so we've got 140 kilograms, just a single.
So we'll get this higher.
Yeah.
And I'll see how the normal grip feels, and I'll probably go mix the hook grip for the next one.
Yep. Stretch, slack out, stand. Beautiful.
That was heaps better.
Real nice.
That was like a clean one. That was like...
It's just precise now.
Yeah, I feel like I was on one of your reels then. Yeah, one of those girls you got perfectly doing.
Maybe we can make him one of the textbook technique reels next time.
Yeah, I'll make it. Sebastian Oreb, the good books.
Yeah.
Not the bad examples. I don't want to in there.
Imagine that. He comes on and he says my Instagram page, what not to do, and I've got this guy's videos.
Since idiot deadlifting.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, actually I have an idea. I just thought of an idea.
Tell me.
That's actually funny. I just thought, remember that video you showed me? And it was like pretending he's reacting?
Yes.
We could do this. We could do like, you're doing the reaction, I'm deadlifting, and you'd be like, this is why these jiu-jitsu guys suck.
So you're working now.
Yeah, now it's like, I'm feeling like it's actually your weight.
Yeah, so I don't want to now go in 20 kilo jumps.
Yeah.
Slowly, all right? So you catching that? So get this, right? So like I said, it's not outrageous for me to expect that Seb can do a double body weight deadlift. It doesn't mean I need to get him there today. Like this is the first time I've deadlifted with him. You know, the last thing I want to do is hurt this guy. That guy could beat me in a fight really, really easily, right? You know what I'm saying? So the objective is, but even if that wasn't the case, which is not the case, I'm only mucking around. I don't need to test his max on the first day. In fact, that's a pretty unintelligent way of training, is testing someone's max on the first day. The first day is testing, but not max testing. I want to leave repetitions in reserve. Now, I did notice, it was still easy, but I noticed that now he has to think about it. That 140 kilograms isn't just like like an effortless weight. He needs to put in a little bit of effort. So what I'm doing now is I'm slowing down the incremental increases. So 150 kilograms. Now, some of you may be thinking things like, oh, that's too small a jump. You're going to do so many different jumps to get to the top weight. It's fatiguing. It's not fatiguing. It's stimulating. If you noticed, after 80 kilograms, when we got to, I think it was 100 kilograms, we started just doing singles. So it's one rep. Like I'm talking to Seb a lot as we're training, and it's not because I love a chat. It might seem that way, but it's intentionally. I like to give him about 5 minutes rest between sets, especially as we get to these points.
Yeah.
When it comes to things like a deadlift, it's highly complex. And this is one of the exercises. Every single exercise comes with a slightly different profile. So you've got exercises like a lat pull down or a bicep curl or hamstring curl. I would recommend, 2 to 3 minutes rest in between sets, totally fine. But when it comes to a deadlift that's highly complex, the objective isn't to have you grinding out reps. It isn't to have you performing your movements in a non-recovered state. So I want him fully recovered, which is another reason why I'm talking during the session, so he doesn't just sit down. A lot of people, when I say 5 minute rest, they say, how boring must training be? Well, that's what it is. If you want to do it the right way, you need to actually get a full recovery. And it's not just when your muscles are ready. It takes longer for the nervous system to be ready, and you don't actually feel when that's the case. So a lot of the people that play it by feel, they might say things like, you know, after 3 minutes, I'm ready. It's like, well, I've done this for so many years that I've noticed when someone does a top set of a complex movement like a deadlift and they only rest 3 minutes or 4 minutes, their performance declines, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so the idea here, small incremental increases. It's not fatiguing. This is called stimulate, not annihilate. So actually, when you do it right, it makes the next set even better. All right, let's go. 150 kilograms, 1 rep. Everything is about smooth. Okay, we got the hook grip now.
Yeah, let's get it smooth as.
Armpits, stretch, head to ceiling, push the world away. Ah, even better.
Yeah, that was a clean one.
Even better.
Yeah.
Nice, bro. Good. Take a sip.
Nice.
So the things that I'm looking for to make it, like when I say even better, it's just like the hips and the shoulders rise at the same time. So a lot of the times you might see people when they're doing, you know, heavier deadlifts, the hips start going, the hips rise first and then the shoulders come up. And you know, there's many reasons why that might happen, but that didn't happen here. A lot of the times it happens, it's a positional thing. So there's probably 2 reasons why that happens. When someone's hips rise too early, 2 main reasons. 1, they might be squatting too deep and the barbell's away from their midfoot. So what happens then is like you go like this, you squat really, really deep. See how I rolled the barbell forward? And the bar's not gonna leave the ground unless it's in line with my midfoot. So to get that to happen, I need to go lift the hips up to get my shins out of the way before the bar comes off the ground. So therefore the hips rise early. So that's a positional reason. The next reason it might happen is when people think too much about the pull component, not the push component. So as I suggested, you've got no choice, you're gonna pull, but you do have a choice whether or not you push. So when people's hips rise early, that's when I really double down on the cue, push the world away. So you lock yourself in position, you're locked in. You stop moving, you stretch, you take the slack out of the bar, and then drive those legs through the ground like it's a leg press. All right, we go up again, 160.
My lats are getting a pump now, so it's getting hard to get this up there.
You're feeling it, huh?
Got a pump in the lats, guys.
Big jack jiu-jitsu fighter.
Big black belt right here, mate.
Yeah, nice.
This is my black belt right here. All right, that's good.
Okay, stance, hip width, hands on the line. Barbell in line with midfoot. Take a big breath to brace. Sits his hips in position until his shins gently touch the bar. Head to ceiling, stretch. Beautiful.
Nice.
Real nice. Real
Hell
nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Gonna slack out of it right away.
Yeah. I think that a couple more sets. I don't want to max you out. I don't want to do anything. But I think at the very least we can hit 180 for a single today.
Yeah, I see that.
Before we then go on to some accessories. Knees are still like, I want you to drive them out.
Actually, you know what? I think I did forget that cue.
Yeah.
Last one.
It's still like the way that you are, and I'd say that it's a habit. It's like, because you're naturally with a wider stance, that your knees are always inside your feet.
Yeah,
so it's
right.
kind of like a normal thing for you to have the knees kind of inside the feet like that. So, so that's probably something that you need to be reminded of. And you know, when people hear me say knees out, it's like, no, I don't want knees out. I want it stacked. I want hip, knee, foot in a straight line, right? But on that when the knees aren't doing that, that's what it is. It's not a straight line. That's a stronger structure, straight down. So I don't need it pushing your arms out. Your arms are going to be long and hanging.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I see.
All right. Let's switch on.
Yeah, like this is like the point where like I have to remember the cues or else I'm just gonna rip it up.
No ripping. So this is the idea of not taking big jumps with your weights. I'm only having gradual jumps so that you don't have to think about aggression. I don't want aggression.
Okay, let's go.
Barbell in line with the midfoot. Grabbing the bar on the lines. Take a big breath from the top. Sit in position, knees out, head to ceiling stretch. Drive the world away. Beautiful, yeah. Nice.
Nice.
Real nice. We're gonna do one more set, okay, bro?
Sounds good.
Just one more set on the 180 before we then go on to some accessories. Yes. Now, let's talk a little bit about accessories. Me, as a powerlifter on a deadlift day, I'm gonna be thinking about exercises that I'm gonna use to complement my deadlift. So the rules are usually main movement is the highest priority to achieving your goal. So as a powerlifter, I have 4 days. One is a squat focused day, one is a deadlift focused day, one is a bench press focused. Actually, 2 are bench press focused days, upper body push pull, right? Where the main focus is those main movements. And then what we want to do on our accessories is not try and do more of the same thing. We want to say, okay, we trained everything we needed to train with the main movement. Now, what did we neglect by doing that main movement? So when we could think about like a deadlift, as a powerlifter, I think about the muscles that are involved. So the main muscles involved in a deadlift is kind of like posterior chain. So glutes, hamstrings, erector spinae. So a lot of people go, okay, cool, that's the deadlift. What's another exercise for a posterior chain? We've got good mornings, we've got RDLs. It's like, well, you kind of done that already, so it kind of makes it a little bit redundant. The fact is, the deadlift trains the glutes, but in a specific way, which is like in the most lengthened position. So the glutes are extensors, right? So this is the bottom of a deadlift. The glutes are at the most lengthened position. So to go and do more glute exercises where the glutes are in a lengthened position, it's like, well, you've already kind of done that. So the objective is to choose an exercise that hits the glutes in a different length position or a different contractile position, which is usually my favorite exercise to complement with that is like hip thrusts, which is probably a pretty good exercise for a jiu-jitsu fighter. Do you do hip thrusts?
Yeah.
Great. And back extensions, so like 90 degree or 45 degree back extensions. That's what I would do. But he's a jiu-jitsu fighter and I don't want him to smash the hell out of his glutes and hamstrings right now. He's probably going to do glutes and hamstrings another day this week.
Yeah.
So we don't, that's what I would tell you to do on another day.
Yeah.
Is hit the glutes on your second glute day, hit the glutes in a shortened position, right? But for now, what I would consider is let's not hit the lower body after this. Let's just do some upper body exercises after this. Last one.
Let's go.
So I was just asking Seb if he trains to music, and he says, yeah, headphones or whatever it is. Now, something about training and headspace and arousal, I've actually done a whole YouTube video on this talking about, headspace and psyching up. I don't want him psyching up for these lifts. So that's one sure way of not taking yourself to the point where it's going to be so fatiguing for the next sessions, is don't train to that point of the heightened neural arousal that it's going to interfere with fatigue and recovery. So right now, this is an education session. This is a technique session only. I don't want to scream at him, slap his back. He'll probably slap me back. I don't want to get him to the point where he needs to really, really push down. I'd rather him come to this deadlift and a different mindset. I want him to come and think about his body position. And that's a way of kind of like not exerting maximal force. Okay, so that's another thought process. When you're teaching an exercise, lose the psych up. Okay, we don't need the psych up, we need technique. All right, so that's what we want to hear. We want to hear nothing.
Yeah, I think it's heaps better, especially when I'm learning something new.
Yeah.
Even when I'm drilling in jiu-jitsu, I definitely don't want to listen to like music. I hate when there's just loud music playing.
Yeah.
Or even when I'm rolling, I'm sparring, and the music's going crazy. It's like, why am I freaking sending it right now? The freaking Drake's going off in the background.
Why am I so damn angry?
Yeah, it's like the freaking Travis Scott concert right now in the background. I prefer. That's why when I trained with John Danaher, it was always no music in the training section, and like I feel like that's when I was really able to think and like really develop skills faster. Because I was just, and it's the exact same thing right now, like I'm doing 180.
Who'd you say you were training with?
With John Danaher, yeah.
That's a big name in jiu-jitsu, isn't it? I'm not in the scene, so anyone who's in the scene, that's one of his coaches, right?
Yeah, he's the best coach man ever. Like, just the sessions, like training with him just taught me so much, not only about jiu-jitsu, but just how to actually learn, how to be a good student, how to be studious. Because I think these are skills that, unless you go and like, you surround yourself with the like highest level people, as you know, you were with those Lily Bridge people, like the best lifters, you learn like these cues, not only how to do it, but they also show you how they learn how to do it. Yeah. Through teaching it.
So with John Danaher, no music in his sessions?
Yeah, no music in the session. Like maximal focus, like just locked in at all times, like the entire session.
Is there an aggression thing or minimizing the aggression?
Yeah, minimize aggression, of course. I mean, you get to like a point where like you start preparing for competitions.
Yeah.
And you're gonna, of course, increase it because you want to feel good. And the whole goal with getting to competition, I'm sure you know, with these guys is just to make sure they believe they can actually maybe lift the weight. And for me, it's to believe that I can't lose.
Yeah.
Right, and the only way to believe that is to freaking smash everyone in the training session. But to get to that point, I need to have developed the skills Where when I actually want to do that, I'm not just being delusional. I'm actually able to bash them in training.
Yeah.
You know, so
like, okay, I was just telling Seb before, I was watching a few videos of his highlights. When he gets into his fights, he's pretty aggressive. So you're shaking your head, you're getting your head involved. That's why he's got those ears on him as well.
Yeah, the big ones.
Right? The cauliflower ears, it's just so...
I've drained them so many times, they would be crazy.
So much aggression with your game in particular. So I've seen people that don't train that hard. What's it like with John when you do it like that?
I mean, there's always going to be like specific times in training where I need to like sort of exert myself in that passion to make something apply. Or maybe I want to see how the move gets applied if I
add a bit of aggression to the technique.
Or I have a training partner who's bigger and stronger and maybe they're pushing it.
Yeah.
Because of course, like I can only monitor how I react, how I act in a training session, but sometimes you come across someone who's a bit of a head and they're coming in, they're going crazy. I'm like, what am I going to let them bash me? Like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine, I'm going to...
So if you're sparring with John Danaher there, would he be fine with you just ramping up the aggression if you need to?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like there's like band techniques, no flying body weight, none of this crap.
Yeah.
But like, of course, if someone comes in and they want to like have a bit like show off who's boss, like I have to show them.
You have to step up.
I have to step up, yeah, exactly. And if I don't step up, if I get smashed, then it's not going to look good. You know?
Okay. Now, although I do want no aggression, I do want your head to be ready for this. Okay, so let's, you got chalk on your hands?
Yep.
Okay, I want full focus. Now, 180, I believe this is sub-maximal for you. I believe it's heavy, but it's sub-maximal. Okay, so I want it to look sub-maximal. Okay, so no grinding, I want perfect precision. And if it's precise, like how you've been doing, it's gonna come up easy. So let's do this. Stance hip width, barbell in line with midfoot. Arms straight down, long and relaxed arms. Sit into position with knees out. Brace. Knees out, pull the bar into your body, head to ceiling. Squeeze that weight up. Nice, real nice, smooth, man. Yeah, bro.
Sweet.
Smooth.
Hectic.
Good job, bro, good job. Okay, 180. Yeah, I would say that I was pretty right by saying 200 kilograms is where you'd be.
Yeah, that's just nice.
No problem. I think even more than 200, which we don't need to get to. So this is whenever I'm doing my testing, I kind of get to a point where it's like, that's a good enough indication for me to say, he's probably at about 200 kilograms. So if I was to write a program for that, I'd base that on like, a 200 kilo max. But then I still don't need to test your max. That's enough for me to see, what your upper limit is. Now, here's the fact of it. 1 rep max, or 1 rep, that wasn't around 1 rep max, it was a heavy single, isn't the best way of building strength. It's the best way of refining technique and teaching the body how to shift a heavy load, but it's not the best way of building muscle and it's not the best way of building strength. You need some volume to be able to do it. And this is where I like a method like a top set, back down set. So that top single is kind of like technique, teaching the body how to handle a heavy load. But now I do want to do a little bit of back down work. So something that I like to do here is I get 80% of what we just did. I'll get the calculator out in a moment. Are you good with maths?
80% of that?
Yeah.
What's that, 180? What's that, 18 times 8? No, I can't do it.
What is it, 144? Well, that's what we're going to do. But we're going to do 145, Musti, because we're overachievers.
Yeah, that's right. 80, what percent is it? 145?
That's probably 80 points something. All right, let's go. You know what we did last time? We did this whole percentage thing and maths thing. We go, it's this. And we're like, oh, we got it, high five. And then at the end of it, he goes, it was actually really wrong. I'm like, no way, we're acting like we're smart. 0.8 times 140, 180. 144, Musti. Not just a pretty face.
He's got the genius.
Not just a pretty face. All right, we're going to go. So that's what we're going to do. So why 80%? So let's talk a little bit about the science. Let's add a little bit of that in. If you want to build strength, a lot of the research points towards lifting weights kind of like 80% and up of your max. So when it comes to building muscle, the percentages don't matter as much. Proximity to failure is what is more important. So you can build muscle on 5 reps, 10 reps, 15 reps, 20 reps, as long as you take the movement to a close proximity to failure. What you want to do is achieve mechanical tension. It doesn't just mean do 10 reps and you build muscle. It's got to be 10 reps where the last couple of reps are really, really, really hard and working towards failure. That's how you build muscle. But when it comes to strength, it's not the same thing. You don't really want to, focus on training to failure when it comes to strength building, actually. In fact, there's a lot of research that supports leaving more repetitions in reserve so that the bar speed is a little bit faster and the technique is a little bit cleaner, is more of an advantage when it comes to top end strength development. So this is what you're going to see right now. So 80%, so that was his, the heavy, that's not his max. That was the heaviest weight that we're doing today. We're now going to do a couple of, so normally one of my favorite protocols, top set and then 3x3. But because he's training a lot, he's doing a lot of sessions, we might just do two sets of 3. What are your thoughts on that? Fine?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so top single and then 2x3. This is our strength session. So I don't know what he's got planned for the rest of his program, but if I was to write a program for him, I'd say, let's start this. Week 1, top single on 180, and then 2 sets of 3 on 80% of that. So let's just call it 145. And then I'd say for the next 3 weeks, you could really logically just add 5 kilos to each of those. Yeah, so next week, 185, and then 150 for 3x3, for 2x3. And then the next week, 190, and then 155, and then the next week, 195.
I see.
Or you can do it for 5 weeks, so you end on 200.
Right. Well, a clean number at the end.
Exactly. I don't like to finish on 195. It's stupid.
That's lame.
It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Good man.
I can never.
Glad we're on the same page. All right. Now, these 3 reps. Wait up a second, please, brother. It's perfection. It's not about feeling the burn. It's not about grind out. I want the 3rd rep to look like you've got plenty of reps in reserve.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's do it. Technique, technique, technique. Knees out, pull into your body, eyes up. Good. Reset. Nice, one more. Beautiful, beautiful. Good job.
How sweet as.
Good job, bro. Take a seat. 5 minutes rest, and we do one more set. Bring your chest up high, and then, now push, let's go. Don't punch, good control, stretch. Now, something that you're doing is that you're shrugging a lot. I notice that about your posture in general. You're very much like that. It's probably a jiu-jitsu thing.
Spend all day doing that.
Yeah, so when your shoulders are elevated, it's the opposite of lat recruitment. Lats is depress, right? So we want the lats to be active just to stabilize the joint, right? Good. And so that's something that I'm looking for. If that's something you're doing, if it's a habit that you're doing, is shrugging, stop doing that. I want the shoulder girdle to be down. So check this out. Seb actually had a competition yesterday, and during a competition, he doesn't know exactly what he did, but he came out and he felt that his pec was slightly strained. So what we're doing now is a little bit of rehab work. One of my favorite ways to rehab, how's that feeling? Fine?
That was great.
Great, and drop. One of my favorite ways to rehab a muscle, come for a walk, is not to ignore it, is not to let it completely recover. Unless, of course, it's a complete rupture, which I know that it's not. He wouldn't have been able to do these exercises if it was a complete rupture. So if it's a minor tear, so, you know, that's quite a common thing, that people have minor tears and you get a little bit of muscle soreness and people just say, oh, it's nothing. Like, that's what a strain is. And the best way for me, in my history of powerlifting, watch out, you're going to trip over something, to allow for recovery is to train it immediately. Okay, so the way that I train it, and here's a trick that I have with all muscles, where if it's like less than a grade 1 tear type of thing, which is, I'd say his is probably not even that, is to put as much blood through the muscle as possible with light loads. So the rep scheme that I like to have is direct work for 3 sets of 20. So it's like really, really high rep with a weight that causes 0 pain. So maybe slight discomfort. I'm sure if he has a slightly strained pec, it'd probably be sore just doing nothing. So slight discomfort is kind of just gonna happen, but if it increases the pain, that's an indication that you've gone too heavy. So that's something that I want to introduce to Seb right now. I want him to try and just see what we can do. And this is also something that I've noticed, that I've injured myself before and I think, damn it, like as an athlete, damn it, I'm injured, I'm not gonna be able to train or do whatever it is. A lot of the times people come to me and they say, I've injured myself, what should I do? You want to get back into the game as soon as possible. Me as a powerlifter, but also Seb as a jiu-jitsu fighter, he wants to have the confidence to know that he can get back into training as soon as possible. When's your next competition?
I like to try and compete because I want as many reps as possible. It's not like MMA where I'm getting hit in the head. So as long as my body's fresh, I would compete every weekend if I could. So.
Yeah. Okay. So if you came into this weekend's comp, if you had a comp this weekend and you came in with a pec tear, what would you think? Would you not compete?
I mean, yeah, I'd probably not want to do the competition. That's why we're working on making sure that it doesn't hurt by the time that comes. Just want to be primed every time. Every weekend, need to be primed.
So 2 amazing things. One is it increases the hell out of blood flow. So the way that we do it is 3 sets of 20 reps with a very, very light weight, and actually every day. So he doesn't live in a gym. When I did it for my pec tears, I lived in a gym, and every day I'd walk in and I'd do 3 sets of 20 of a light weight, and then I'd gradually go heavier every single day. So with him, I don't know if he's got access to a gym every single day.
Yeah, I do. It's like next door.
You do? Okay, fantastic. Well, that's what I would recommend, but we're going to have a play around with it today. And what we're going to be doing, this is his upper body session. So we did deadlifts at the start of the session, and we're just going to do an upper body push-pull. So coming straight into a lat pull down. So this is, one of my favorite ways of training upper body is supersetting the push and the pull together. So just give me 8 reps with a reverse grip. So
this way here?
Yep. So choices of exercises here. It's a very common thought, and I used to do this as well. Full stretch. Good. It's a very common thought, and I used to do this as well, is think about, like the demands of a jiu-jitsu athlete. He doesn't compete with a gi, so he does a lot of only no gi, is that right?
Yeah.
But a lot of gi fighters, I know that they use things like, they do pull-ups with a rope or with a kimono. With the actual gi, which they say, this is really, really specific and it's going to improve my grip strength. Once again, just like the deadlift, I'm not trying to build your grip. It's like, yeah, of course we're going to get some carryover to grip strength when we do these exercises, but that's not the focus here. In fact, I would prefer to give you lifting straps to take the grip out of the equation so that we can target the exact muscles that I want to get stronger, which is his back, which is his lats, his mid-back muscles, and his biceps. That's all of those pulling muscles. So don't let the specificity interfere with your main objective. The main objective is strengthen the pull pattern, grip. If I do want him to have a strong grip, and he probably does have a strong grip, but I'm going to give him specific grip exercises after. All right, come for a walk. So what we're going to do is just gradually, he just did 7.5 kilogram dumbbells because he trained yesterday, he competed yesterday, so he's probably not feeling very fresh. Yeah. Coming in today with a training session. So I don't need to max him out or go super heavy, take a seat, or go super heavy. In fact, right now, I want him to walk out of the session feeling like he could have done way more. Let's go for a set of 20. Okay, let's go a little bit, yeah. So the grip position that I like when I'm rehabbing the pec is a more neutral dumbbell position. Okay, so this is where so let's have a look at this. So if I use the pronated grip, which is what a lot of people use, so come down. When you're using a pronated grip, naturally the elbows flare out more. That increases the stretch on the pec, which isn't bad. However, at this stage of minor pec strain, I want to kind of like minimize the exposure of the pec, and I want gradual reintroduction of that muscle. So whenever you're doing, I like to compare it, like I like to say, one technique, this one, is strengthening the push pattern. The pronated way is building pecs, right? So if you're a bodybuilder and you want to build pecs, that's the technique that I would use. If you're a strength athlete, it's not really so much about I want to build pecs or build delts. I want to strengthen the push pattern. And the neutral grip is the most comfortable position for the shoulders and the pecs to be able to do that. How did that feel? Any pain?
Yeah, it feels good.
Excellent. So that was probably about 20 reps. Okay. Now here, these exercises aren't as complex as the deadlift. So the rest between sets, however long it takes to get from one to the next. Let's go 8 reps. Let's talk about rep ranges. When it comes to an athlete, so it doesn't matter, like I'm gonna say jiu-jitsu fighter, but the same for any athlete. You don't want to replicate all of the demands of the sport. I keep on saying that because that's so damn important. You want to treat the gym for what it's there for. He strengthens all of his demands of his sport by sparring 8 times a week. So he's giving himself, you know, the power work, the agility work, the strength endurance work, all of that stuff by training his actual sport in real time. It doesn't get better than that. The worst thing you can do is try and imitate those movements in the gym under load. Okay, one, it turns a strength exercise into a not very good strength exercise. And two, it can actually interfere with the motor patterns that's required of the sport. So once you start lifting a weight that slows down the correct motor pattern, it now changes the motor pattern completely. So there's 2 reasons why. Don't try and overthink it and think, what are the demands of my sport? What do I need to train in the gym? In the gym, you want to train your body so it's strong and structurally balanced. The way that we do that for the upper body is a horizontal push-pull and a vertical push-pull, and the right amount of that during the week. So today, I'm not going to do all of those. I'm only going to choose one of those push patterns, which is like an incline. Is that a horizontal push? I would consider that a horizontal push. And his lat pull down is a vertical pull. So on his other day, I would say work towards a vertical push, so a shoulder press, and a horizontal pull, so some type of a row pattern. All right, let's take a seat. So 12.5 kilograms. When was the last time you did dumbbell pressing?
A couple of weeks ago.
How heavy did you go?
I was doing flat bench.
Yep.
Like, I think 40.
Yep. I don't want to go that heavy today. Right? So slowly. So that was 12.5. Let's go 17.5. And let's try set of 20 again.
Yep.
Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't say, let's do sets of 20. Right? This is purely to see how that pec is feeling. Good. Good. Drop those shoulders hard, drop those shoulders hard. Good. So this is a technique that I want to see, is depression of the entire shoulder girdle. So if you're under a bench and you see the distance between your shoulders and your ears is short, I want to increase that distance. So drop the entire shoulder girdle. The next thing will happen is he's picking up his sternum angle with that as well. Look, we've got visitors. All right. Very good. That'll do. That'll do. Come in, Dinny G. Not at all. Not at all. You should see. This is Seb.
Hi, Seb.
Hi, Seb. You know what's funny? She makes fun of me when she wants to piss me off. She calls me Seb.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's Diana. That's my sister-in-law.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What's up?
Hi, Uncle. This is Billy Rose.
Yo. Excuse me. What a cute guy.
Say hi. Hi.
All right. Next thing. What's better, a lat pull down or a pull up? A lot of people get upset with me when I choose a lat pull down over a pull up, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm not really choosing the pull down over the pull up. This is a secondary exercise. We've just done deadlifts, and that's a pretty demanding movement. And when we're doing upper body as a secondary movement, then I'd probably choose exercises that are a lot less demanding. When people do pull ups, it's pretty hard for people to do the technique that I want. So that's another good reason why I like to do lat pull downs, especially if you're doing a whole body session. Let's go 8 reps again. Full stretch. Good. Same again. I want you to drop the entire shoulder girdle. Good. Good. Increase the distance between the shoulders and the ears. Right? So that's the objective with this. So when you want to hit the lats, if that's not happening, then the lats just aren't working the same way. So it's very common that, when people do this exercise, they go, shoulders up here, right? This is upper traps doing the work. This is how we get the lats more active, dropping the entire shoulder girdle. So that is something that we want to avoid. For you, it's just very minor.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a habit with jiu-jitsu, like protecting your neck or something.
Doing this all day.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Okay, so that's my experience with working with fighters is a lot of the positions that they use that are helpful in a fight, like the guarding position in a boxing fight. So a lot of the boxers that I've worked with have very rounded shoulders, which position them, don't worry so much about posture, but it's like, what is it that makes someone tight in this position? A lot of the times it's not just what's tight, it's what's long and weak. Okay, so whenever you put in a funny position like this, so guarding your face or guarding your neck, which is what a jiu-jitsu fighter does, when you're doing your push and pull movements, you know, with this position, you're not hitting your lats very well. All right, so that's yeah, something that we want to be working on. Let's go back to the push. How's the pec? Nothing?
Yeah, it's good.
Easy as. So now I'm in a position where we've kind of agreed that his pec is not torn. So that's how we kind of gently reintroduced it by doing a very, very light weight with sets of 20. Now I would say we don't really need to do sets of 20 anymore. So let's bring it to the 8 rep range. So we're still gradually increasing the load.
With this grip?
Yep. Neutral grip, drop the shoulders. Increase the distance from the shoulder, between the shoulders and the ears. Good, and pick up your sternum angle. Good, full stretch and drive, good. I'm not trying to replicate any push pattern that he'd be doing in jiu-jitsu. I'm trying to take his shoulder joint through the full range of motion, or the pec muscle through the full range of motion. Full length to full contraction. How's the pec? Nothing?
Nah, it's fine.
Great. All right, we're going to keep doing a few more sets, nothing crazy, no PBs or anything like that. We're just going to keep on going up, but that's the end of the session. Deadlifts as the main movement, upper body push-pull as the secondary exercise. That actually took us longer than usual, mainly because it was a technique session and we're making the video for you guys on YouTube. But you know, if I was to write out a program for Seb now, I would say this is a great day for day one, deadlifts with a push-pull. The next day, I would say a squat pattern with a push and a pull, and then maybe an entire body day as day 3. And I think having a structure like that is very suitable if you're a jiu-jitsu fighter or a combat athlete or a rugby player or a team sport athlete. It's very similar demands, and that's kind of like something that you guys need to think about. So I made an entire video how I had the confidence to train Thor Bjornsson, and I taught you guys the lessons that I learned from Al Vermeil, who was the coach of Michael Jordan, or the Chicago Bulls in the Michael Jordan era. And this is when I started learning lessons of not replicating movement patterns in the gym or movement patterns on the playing field with resistance in the gym. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that session. We're gonna get Seb to come in and do another session at some time soon. Where can we find you if anyone wants to find you for all of your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expertise?
Hit up my Instagram, guys. Ebsay's YouTube channel. I got all the free source on there. Instagram page, the reels are going off, quick lessons, but the YouTube videos are the best. They're long form. You can get really good at jiu-jitsu, and just like you guys are watching right now, really in depth. Maybe not that in depth, not as good as this guy, but one day I'll be as good as this guy, but at jiu-jitsu, so we'll keep moving.
I doubt that. But yeah, on his, all I know is I follow this guy on his jiu-jitsu page, and he gives tons of great knowledge on how to beat people up in a fight, which every man should want to know how to do, and woman, and everyone in between. Anyway, you're a legend. Thank you for the session,
Thanks,
my man, and I'll speak to you guys soon.